The legend of chess, Garry Kasparov, takes the center stage today, a man who earned the title of world champion in 1985, defeating Anatoly Karpov. With more than 20 years at the top, boasting a record peak rating of 2,856, the world of chess witnessed his unbeatable reign. Today, he is the epitome of a true chess adversary. But what happens when this seemingly indomitable force encounters a chess unknown named Ray Enigma, an acclaimed chess streamer whose identity and real chess rating bask in mystery? The man who battled to a draw against Garry's prime adversary, Anatoly Karpov. A man with an enigmatic presence, ready to take on his next grandmaster. Ray kicks off the game with a bold d4, a move to which Kasparov replies with knight f6, hinting at the deployment of his infamous King's Indian defense. The King's Indian defense in chess is a dynamic opening where black allows white to control the center with pawns, and then seeks to undermine and counterattack this center. The initial jostle leads to a symmetrical variation of the queen's pawn opening. Ray chooses not to risk damaging black's pawn structure by trading light square bishops and focuses on maintaining his piece's position, including deciding to castle. There's a subtle tension on the board. Ray's knight slides to d2, safeguarding his vulnerable e4 square. In return, Garry's knight d7 rises as a fortress against any potential threat via the e5 square. But then, Ray responds with queen to e2. Garry unleashes his knight on e4, and suddenly, the dominance of the white position is contested. A few more maneuvers follow, causing Garry to raise his eyebrows on a few occasions. Maybe he thought this would be an easier battle. This continues until the game intensifies. Ray goes for the first capture with bishop taking e4, a decision that will soon ripple into a series of unfortunate events for him. Ray decides to station his knight on e5 to force more trades, even at the expense of a pawn. Soon, the white knight moves to c4, and then Garry retaliates with b5. The battlefield is tense, the moves unpredictable. This forces Ray to shift his knight to d6. After Garry attempts to hunt down Ray's fleeing knight with rook to d8, Ray is forced to take a trade, bishop for knight. After another quick tussle of queen's positioning, the white queen appears with an ominous intent at g5, threatening mating ideas with the h-pawn. A cunning rook c8 applies more pressure to white's queenside pawns, forcing Ray to retreat his queen for defense, primarily looking to the c2 pawn. Garry responds with pawn to a6, Ray returning rook d4. In a game-changing move, Garry breaks down white's pawn chain with f4, soon following this move up with queen g3 to threaten the undefended white h4 pawn. A potential pawn loss for black looms after h5. Amidst this whirlpool of strategies, Garry again shaking his head at what he's seen in front of him. He plays rook d8. The best move here to respond would be rook to e4, allowing the rook to be taken in turn by the black pawn sat at d5, opening a clean run for the white queen to check black. Ray plays c4, finding himself short on time, but finds himself in a precarious situation following a series of pawn captures. As time runs thin, the tide of the game seems to be turning. Garry plays rook b8, threatening a nasty back rank checkmate. Ray counters with queen c1, but it can't prevent Garry from delivering a devastating fork after capturing the rook on b1 and the queen taking pawn e3. White gives a check on b8 and then charges the f7 pawn, but this allows Garry to spawn two incredibly powerful connected passed pawns. The endgame is upon us. Garry seems poised to march his pawns to victory. Ray is clinging to the hope of forcing a perpetual check. His queen strikes at f5, and he slams the clock, the seconds mercilessly ticking away. With a bold e2, Garry pushes his pawn further, forcing Ray's queen to the first rank. In this intense endgame, Garry is ready to crown another queen with d2. The black king is safe, and another queen is imminent. Ray's clock runs out before he can even surrender. The echoes of the clock's final tick seem to hang in the air as the players shake hands. Garry Kasparov emerges as the undefeated final boss of chess, vanquishing the mysterious chess streamer and proving once again that even against the most unpredictable challengers, he remains the undisputed champion.